You only gave me like 1 drop of water. There's like 1 inch in this cup.
It's half full.
Welcome to another episode of A Glass with Billy. Now, these are not glasses today, we have cups.
We don't need glasses because we have good vision.
Today we're going to be talking about something that maybe a lot of you have experience with, or maybe you've thought about it before, and that is learning multiple languages at the same time. For example, if you're someone who's learning Korean through English.
I know for a fact that a lot of people who are on Talk to Me in Korean are learning Korean through English, and English is not their mother tongue.
Yeah.
So they are actually doing that already. Oh, by the way, I didn't introduce myself.
Oh yeah.
You didn't even let me introduce myself.
They already know who you are. I'm just going to put a little tiny note at the bottom of the screen that says hyun-woo from Talk to Me in Korean in the beginning. They'll know.
All right, thank you.
So for everyone out there who's doing this or considering doing it or learning Korean through Japanese or French or together or anything like that, this video is for you. And what we're going to be talking about is it even possible to do this? Can you learn 2 languages at the same time? Should you be learning another language?
I see.
Through another language?
I think the answer to the first 2 questions are actually already yes and yes.
Okay, sure.
You can do it.
Don't spoil too much of the video.
I think the third question is going to be really interesting.
So I guess we can start off with some personal experiences then. I can start with myself.
Okay.
I have learned in my life French, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, and Cantonese. When I started learning Korean for the first few months, that was after I had learned Japanese for a few years, so I was trying to maintain my Japanese. Every time I'd learn a new Korean word, I would search the Japanese word and I'd write it down together.
Did it help?
No, I was in Korea, speaking with Koreans every day. I thought, what am I doing with this Japanese? Why am I trying so hard to maintain it when I can't even use it?
I see. You didn't have a reason to keep your Japanese part of your active knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's why.
What about you?
So I was mostly studying 1 language at a time. The only time I think I was learning 2 languages at the same time was when I was learning Spanish and Japanese at the same time. And it's not because I didn't believe that learning 2 languages or more at the same time was not beneficial. It was only because my interest was mainly only strong in 1 language at any given time. If I pick up a book on a certain language and I don't enjoy it, I don't stop myself from like turning away from it and then actually picking up another book on another language. That's, I guess, one important thing to remember. Just because you told yourself, just because you announced on social media that you're going to study with Go Billy Korean, it doesn't mean you need to be stuck with the channel.
Yeah.
When you find Talk to Me in Korean much
better. Okay, now I know what you're saying. So let's talk about then, is it possible to learn multiple languages at the same time?
I think it's definitely possible. Most people worry about like being confused between 2 languages or more. Like, what if I say the wrong thing when I need to say this? But it rarely happens when you actually have a full conversation. For me, what always happened was, the Chinese yes, like one of the ways that you can say yes in Chinese is,
对.
对. And in French, you say 喂.
Oui, oui.
I would say 对对对 to French speakers and 喂喂喂 to Chinese speakers. I actually had a very interesting conversation with another Korean guy who speaks Spanish, Korean, English, and Chinese. But we never mixed up any part of any of our languages because we knew what we were going to say. I guess it can happen if you are a beginner in 2 languages. You can mix things up because you haven't mastered those words completely yet.
Other than that, it's going to be a rare situation.
Yeah, and a fun situation, if anything. Yeah.
Oui.
Okay.
So then I guess the obvious next thing to ask is there a pro to learning Korean through French? Or for someone who's not a native English speaker, learning Korean through English, is there a pro to doing that?
I would say you need to think about the cons first, and if the cons are not big enough, just go with it. You might be learning Korean through English out of necessity because you don't have the same kind of resources, detailed resources in your native language.
You might have a harder time finding a variety of Korean materials that are in your language, and it could be much easier and beneficial if you already know English to just find them in English.
And also, I think it comes down to how much attention you can give to a source. For example, when I look at the same kind of information written both in English and in Korean, I can still read Korean faster, but sometimes if the information is being presented by somebody that I enjoy watching, even if the information is not like optimally delivered into my brain, I would still opt for this source.
I have a lot more fun watching Korean YouTubers that are giving reviews and tutorials.
It's the opposite for me.
Really? You enjoy watching English
I rarely watch Korean YouTubers have this specific car review channel in French. I know everything about
about cars.
And then
Wow.
I'm not learning anything new, but then I still enjoy just hearing him talk. So I think if you enjoy that source that's in English or in any language and you're learning Korean, keep doing it because that's going to guarantee that you're going to continue learning. People tell you that, oh, you should learn Korean in your native language, and you're like looking up resources. And then you don't enjoy any of them. You will give up. Right? That's a worse outcome.
Okay, so we've talked about then pros and cons. So then what are some things that a learner can do to help themselves if they're learning Korean through English?
Well, it depends on their level of English, I think. If they are already like fluent and already good enough, they just have to learn Korean. And then maybe they will have to gradually move to Korean-only content, which we also have on our second channel, Talk to Me in 100% Korean. But if you are a beginner learner, intermediate learner, you can study two at the same time because oftentimes language tutorials are done in easy, like plain English.
I would give one more tip. I would say if you're trying to learn two languages at once, I would say try to have a balance between how much time you're spending with each of the languages. So if you're trying to learn French and Korean and Japanese, make sure you're allowing yourself to have enough balance in your schedule so that you can even do that.
More than anything, it shouldn't be too difficult for you. Juggling two languages or three languages shouldn't be too stressful, shouldn't be too difficult, too challenging for you, because if so, you will give up on one thing.
So if you're struggling with it, if it's not fun, you're stressed, then you probably shouldn't do it, or you should rethink how you're doing it.
This might be off topic, but we get questions from many people in other countries whether we plan on offering content like Korean language tutorials, like materials in other languages. But it's so much more work than just offering Korean lessons in one language, which is English. All we can do right now is for people to please understand that and come to us and learn Korean through English. You have better chances in like finding English language materials than say your native language materials. A good reason to also level up your English.
That's everything I needed to talk about. Anything else you think we should add?
If you are learning Korean and maybe Chinese and Japanese at the same time, the vocabulary words are going to be really similar. You might experience some like pronunciation mistakes, but I want to just keep telling you that it's okay.
Sometimes I can tell if someone speaks a different language natively, or not natively, but like very high level. When they speak Korean, you might have a slight French accent if you're a native French speaker.
I was
It's
actually
normal.
having this really interesting conversation with Yeji, who is sitting right there, about the difference between somebody's accent and somebody's mispronunciation. If you, like, she's right there, yes, you're gonna see her right now. If you pronounce one thing and it is dissected, it is analyzed by people, it might be mispronunciation. But when you put a lot of mispronunciation moments together in a very fluid flow of words and sentences, it's just somebody's accent. As long as you can understand the person, you won't mind, right? Then Korean words are going to be the most complex in terms of sounds. So you can, go from Korean, learn Korean first. So that's what I was trying to get at.
Learn Korean first. So have any of you out there tried this before, or are any of you currently learning Korean through English, including my channel or Talk to Me in Korean? Let me know your experiences and any tips you might have in the comments below. Also, special thanks to our special guest, Hyun-woo.
Please check out our channel too if you are learning Korean. We have many more people hanging out there than over here, so please go over there. 감사합니다.
Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next time.
Bye-bye.
그럼 다음에 또 봐.
다음에 또 봐.